Hey everybody, can you see me? Am I live? It says I'm live. If you came back for this webinar, thank you so much. We had a little technical difficulty yesterday, so I'm so thankful you came back, and I am so glad that you are here. If you'd like to let me know you're here by telling me where you're from in the comments. I am in Kansas City, Missouri right now, and it's June, so it's hot, and it's looking to rain. So I'm going to check these comments over here and see who we got coming in. Thank you again for coming to this. This is the Don't Let Your Circle Time Get Stale webinar. And I am so excited to share with you some ideas that I have to help keep my circle time a lot more engaging. So I'm glad that this is working today. Yesterday, it would not let me broadcast. Something was up with Google, well, actually YouTube, and so that was not fun. But I am ready to share with you today. So I'm going to check and see. Oh, we've got Tiffany's here. Thanks, Tiffany, for joining us. I'm so glad you came back today. South Carolina, awesome. Oh, Texas, I'm going to be going there in a couple of weeks. I'm going to be going to Frog Street Splash Conference in Dallas, Texas, and I'm super excited about it. So if you're going, let me know. I want to meet you. Philly, awesome. Hi, Juanita. Thanks for coming in. We'll get started here. It's about 11:01, so we'll get started here in a couple minutes. Florida. Oh, I'd love to be in Florida right now. Oh, I love Florida. Is Homestead near? I don't know where Homestead is. I love Destin and I love Disney World. Yeah, Florida's a good place to be. All right. Well, I'll start just by letting you know a little bit about me. If you don't know anything about me, I am the owner and the creator of Lovely Commotion, and I teach preschool at a local preschool, and I teach several times a week, and it is a Christian preschool, and I absolutely adore it. I used to be in the public school system. I have been a parent educator, and I really have found my niche. Like, I adore preschool. It is my favorite thing to do. It gets me up in the morning, and it just makes me happy. And so I assume that's kind of how you feel too, since you are here to learn about how to kind of improve your circle time or some different ideas and activities that you can bring into your classroom. So I know that you are excited as well. So let's go ahead, and I'm going to switch to the screen so that you can see, and we need to make sure that I'm doing this correctly. Okay, screen share you to our presentation. Awesome. Okay, let's see if you can see this. This is our welcome. Don't let your circle time get stale webinar. So I'm so thankful you are here. Awesome. Looks like you guys can see it. Yes? Yes. Okay. Get it loaded here. All right. Okay, so let's go ahead and get started. Welcome. Don't let your circle time get stale. That's what we're doing. That's what we're going to work on today. So you are in the right place for this webinar if you are looking to completely revamp your circle time routine. Maybe you are a brand new teacher and you need a circle time routine that you feel is solid. Maybe you are ready to throw your circle time routine out the window because it is not working for you. So you're in the right place if you need to completely revamp it. Or maybe you're just wanting to make some tweaks so that it doesn't get stale, so that children aren't getting bored and restless, and you just feel like it's just not quite right and you just need to make some tweaks. Or maybe you're just happy with your circle time, but you'd like to get some new ideas. And I'm going to be sharing today some whole group activities that I like to do with my class. And so maybe you're just here for that. So thank you for coming. And maybe this is not for you if you don't conduct a circle time in your preschool classroom and you don't plan to. I may not be able to help you right now if that is the case, and that is okay. Also, it may not be for you if your circle time is working perfectly for you right now. I certainly don't want to be a waste of anyone's time, but I love to help teachers. That's kind of something I fell into that I didn't realize that I liked so much, was helping fellow teachers. But if it works for you right now, you may not need to be here. And then also, you don't want to hear about ways I can help you to get your best circle time going. So if any of those are for you, no hard feelings, none at all. I just wanted you to be clear on what we're going to kind of cover today. But before we get started, I want to tell you about a little storytelling time. Once upon a time at circle time, by say middle of the year, my students were looking a lot like this guy. Uh, he looks a little bored. And I didn't like it. I could feel it. Something wasn't right. At the beginning of the year, though, it was all roses because these were brand new students. We were all coming together and they were all engaged and we were becoming this wonderful class community. But then as the year went on, we did the same things because routine is important in preschool. It absolutely is. But it almost got too routine. They knew it was coming. It wasn't any longer something fun. It wasn't any longer engaging. And it just honestly became stale. And I knew that when I didn't want to do it anymore by, end year, I'm thinking, oh, let's skip circle time today because that isn't really something I want to do. I knew if I was thinking that, then they probably were thinking that a million times more, right? So I really had to go back and I had to look, what is my goal? My goal is obviously not these words on the screen. My goal was not for them to be bored, disengaged, be humdrum. There's no point of any of those things happening during my day. So I had to go back and think, what am I going to do to make this right? Because I did want to still have a circle time. And you can call it something else. You can call it a class meeting. You can call it whatever you'd like. But at the end of the day, I still wanted my children at the rug, building this class community, being engaged, being happy, and us all learning together. So I knew that that was my goal. And I knew I needed to get intentional because it wasn't working the way it was. So when things don't work, we change them, right? And so I kind of needed to dissect it the way that it currently was. And I needed to really get real about what wasn't working. A lot of times we go, as young, right out of college, go into a classroom and, you do what always is done. I mean, don't preschool teachers do circle time? That's just kind of what they do, right? Well, maybe, but if it's not working as it wasn't for me and something just felt off, I knew I needed to plan it out. I knew that I needed goals for this. I just hadn't put the thought into it that I needed to. So that's kind of my story on this. And the last couple years after I had become very intentional, I had noticed amazing things that were happening in our circle time. Things that I didn't even know my pre-Kers could do until I brought these activities to circle time. We were doing them together. And I will say, after doing this, my kiddos were just the most brought together, close-knit, loved each other students. And I really think a lot of it had to do with this time that we spent together. So let's go ahead and get started and look at what's on the agenda. So there'll be 3 parts to this webinar. The first is setting up an engaging circle time environment. The second will be circle time management. And the third is where I will share the whole group games for skill learning that I like to do that kind of keeps things lively, changing, and is also a way to really kind of build those core learning things in that we all know that we need to get done. So let's go ahead and start on setting up an engaging environment. Now, this doesn't seem like it would be horribly important. I mean, you're just having them come to the carpet, but I knew that when I wanted to be intentional, I really had to think this out. So one thing I did was sit down and just plan everything. I was in a new room and I wanted to get that set up right the first time, not moving it all around all the time. And so I drew myself a little sketch of where in the room I wanted my circle time to be. And I knew that I needed to keep in mind the number of students I had to fit on that rug, right? And the number of distractions that that space had. So the first bullet point here is, how many students do you have to fit in that space? If you have 10, like I had, we're talking about a regular size rug, no problem. But if you're talking 20 students and you have a para with you, what is that going to look like? Are you going to need a bigger space? Are you going to need maybe individual carpet squares? What is that going to look like for you? And then another part of it is, the circle time space can take up a very large area in your room. It's about a fourth. My room is very small, but it takes up about a fourth of my whole entire room. So can I use that for something else throughout the day? And currently I use mine as a block center. They do the blocks on the carpet during center time. So kind of, how can I use this area for more than one thing? Because it does take up a lot of room. And then also I want you to really think about, does this space have distractions? If my circle time is situated where my students can look out the door and become, distracted by that, that may not be the best place for me. And also maybe, are they squished in like sardines and you're going to hear, "She touched me, stop touching me." That may become a problem as well. How can you make sure that space doesn't have distractions? And like I said, I have my block center up. The block center uses the circle time rug and the circle time space. So I have to make sure that I'm turning those things around, turning my block cabinets around, because it does get distracting. And what we want to do is make sure our students are engaged, and limiting those distractions will help that. So that is setting up the environment. And I also want you to think about the actual circle time board and your wall, whatever you use. But you could use something that you could fold up and put away. But how are you going to set that up? Because I found that I hate running out of bulletin board space. It just makes me mad. You get it all up there and then you realize I didn't have room for this thing that I wanted up there, and it just kind of makes me angry. So I actually mapped that out as well. Where am I going to put these core things? And I split my circle time printables, or the stuff that I wanted up on the wall, into two sections. And that was core skills and add-in skills. So my core skills are those things that we were doing every day, like calendar time. We were doing calendar every day because I feel the benefits of calendar for counting and for left to right, top to bottom progression, and all those different things are important. And so that was a core skill for me. The weather watcher was also a core skill for me. That was a job one of my students had, and so that was a core skill. And so all those things that I wanted to do every day, or almost every day, needed that permanent space on that wall. And then I have my add-in skills, and some of my add-in skills were like, we have an estimation jar helper, and so I maybe needed some space for that. Or I'm trying to think of what my other ones are here. Colors, shapes, things like that. Things that I'm going to bring in, but I'm not going to keep it there for a long time. Mystery bag helper is one that we do, that we bring in just a short time. The news reporter I bring in for a short time. So I needed to think about, do I need anything up on the wall for that skill? And how can I leave room for that to add and take away, add and take away, add and take away? So that was kind of my thought process in mapping this out. And I want to make sure to save that space for the add-in skills that come in and out throughout the year. Like for the estimation jar, I had a picture of a jar, and that's where we would write the number of what ended up being in the estimation jar. So I needed a space for that up there, but I would also be taking it down later. I hope that makes sense. And if it doesn't, I will be happy to answer questions at the end about that. So let's go on to, also, I wanted to tell you in the email tomorrow that I'm going to send you with this replay, in case you want to watch it again, I will give you the planning sheets that I use to plan out my environment. So you can kind of go through those if that's something you want to do and plan out your circle time environment. So let's move on to section 2, which is circle time management. Really, this, I have heard of folks who have a very, very long circle time, um, probably much longer than your student's attention span. And so that is one of the very first things that I think that when things aren't working, that's something to look at. How long is your circle time? Does it get longer as the year and the student's attention spans expand? I start with pretty simple 10-minute circle time at the beginning of the year because my kiddos, they aren't ready to sit. They aren't ready. We're working on those skills. There's a lot that goes into it. And so at the beginning of the year, it's going to look a lot different than it is at the end of the year when my students are there for almost 20 minutes and sometimes want to go more because we've found something engaging that we're doing together. So you really need to judge that. 45 minutes, very, very long. And that may very well be why circle time might be driving you nuts and you're pulling out your hair. Definitely shorten that. Watch your kiddos. It's pretty easy to see on average when they start losing you because they start wiggling and they start touching each other. They start talking and things are happening and you know that, nah, I think they're done with me. So really be intentional in thinking about that, how you want to plan it, and also, do I need to change it while it's happening? Like this class is just not ready for this, and so we are going to back it up, and we are only going to say, we're only going to do the circle time for a very short amount of time, and we may get one thing accomplished, but it's still helping them understand that we come together on the rug and we have some expectations, but we're not pushing them beyond what they're physically capable of doing. And then also think about how you can keep them engaged and involved. So instead of just talking to them, getting them involved, pulling them in, giving them jobs, having that weather helper go look at the weather, having songs about everything so that it is clear to them what is happening. And, even having a calendar helper help point at the numbers. All those things keep students engaged because their hands are in it. They are, we know that little learners don't just like to sit and look. They really want their hands on everything. And when we do songs, can we bring in some props to do those songs with and movements and all these things that you need to think about to just get them engaged, make them want more of it. So that is the two main points. Also, we were going to really talk about what can we do to keep circle time from getting stale. And so how can you change it up and keep it fresh? So I do have core activities that I do daily, like the calendar, weather. We do different counting with gross motor and things like that. And I have classroom jobs that feed into those things. But I also have some add-in and take-out activities throughout the year because that's what's going to keep that interest in. What's this new thing that she has? Why does she have this mystery bag? What are we going to do with it? And so those different activities will help keep your circle time moving. It'll help keep it engaging. So here's some of the add-in activities that I've done in the past. The estimation jar activity, which is basically I even have a helper. They help me. And what we do is I fill it up with something in the classroom. The estimation jar, I don't like to go too high of a number. And the estimation jar helper takes it around to students and I help them write their guess on a little Post-it of how many they think are in there. And we really can do a lot of talking about, oh, but see, I can see 3 right here. So maybe it's more than 3. What's a number more? And then we start counting. What's a number more? And I help them write those numbers. And this is something we do towards the end of the year. And then they take that Post-it and they go stick it on our number line. And then we can kind of compare all these different guesses. And then that estimation jar helper helps us actually count them. And we write that on our little estimation jar graphic. And we see who's the closest. Another add-in job that I like to do, not necessarily a job, but an activity, is nursery rhymes. I love to bring in nursery rhymes and we say them together, we retell them together, we act them out together. It's a great way to bring exposure to rhyming and language skills. And it totally livens up your circle time because it's something new and different. Another one we do is student surveys. And I love this one because I have surveys on a clipboard and my students go around and they ask other students the survey question of the day and they mark, they data collect and then come to circle time and that helper gets to um, present their findings to the class. And I do that for a while. Then we take that out and pull something else in. And so I'm really trying to be intentional about when I bring these add-in skills in. And at the beginning of the year, I have no add-in skills, none, because we just need to focus on the core. And then I may add one thing in and I pull it back out. And I add in 3D shapes and we do different activities with 3D shapes. Pull that in and then pull it back out. So that's really how I felt that it's kept it really fresh and it's made it meaningful to students because something new is coming and something exciting that they may love learning about is coming. So that is kind of how I want you to think about creating this add-in activity versus core, and what type of things might you want to add in that help feed your standards, that help feed your goals for the year. And I know that some of our goals oh, let me go to this next slide. Hold on. Okay, here's some more for you. I talked about the top 3. The news reporter, I bring that in enough for everybody to have one turn. And so what I use is a big piece of chart paper and I pretend that my marker is a microphone, although I really need to find a real microphone. And, I say, newsflash, so-and-so's got news to share today. And they share something that's happened in their family or at home or whatever they'd like to share. And I write that down and they help me. We do this towards the end of the year as well. And they help me. And I say, oh gosh, he said he went to the store with mom. Let's listen to mom. Ma, ma. And so we really work on that letter formation together and you can share that pin with them. So there's a lot of major things going on with the news reporter. And that's definitely an added thing that you later take back. The mystery bag as well. Students take home the mystery bag and something goes in it and their parents help them write 3 clues about what's in the bag. And when they come back, they share those 3 clues and the class has to try to guess what's in that bag. And that has just been amazing for prediction and making smart guesses. It's been awesome to watch these kids blossom and do things I wasn't sure they could do because we've kind of added them in and we've done them as a group. And so I'm super excited for them because I see it in them. They get so excited. The estimation jar, I was so close. I want to try this again, see how this works. It's all very exploratory, and it's what has been keeping my circle time fresh. So let's also go into, and this is where I will go back to the live page and share with you the whole group games for skill learning. And I don't know about you, but I find that reviewing the core skills that we know our kiddos need, like color recognition, shape recognition, and numerals, and counting in number sense and letters, it's a lot. We know it needs to be addressed, but can we do it in a way that is addressed almost daily, at least one of these core skills daily? And can we do it in a way that is not sit down flashcard, what is this? What is this? What is this? And that was kind of my goal for these whole group games, because during circle time, I knew that I wanted to create the class community. And I knew that I really kind of wanted it as a review time daily to kind of bring those skills back in, bring them fresh to their mind, because I knew that they were core skills that I was going to be assessing on. And so how can I bring them in whole group, not small group, whole group, and do it in a fun way? And so that's kind of what the other side of my focus was doing these games to help students learn these core skills. So I want to show you some of those games today, and I'm going to stop sharing on here, and hopefully I will be able to go back. Hopefully you'll be able to see me. Can you see me? Am I good? Let me see here. I'm going to just, okay. Yes. Okay. Awesome. Okay. So I want to share with you some of these whole group activities that I like to do to encourage those core skills. So the first one I want to do is with the shape cards. And I have just these cards that we have that have all the 2D shapes on them. And one game that's super easy, and that was another thing. I didn't want this to take 5 million different pieces. I wanted just to be able to grab it and do it and make it fun and short and lively and purposeful. And so the first game is called Smack It. And I actually have, I wanted to show you this too. These are my whole group activity skill cards. And so here, I'll show you these first. So I can go through here. Here's the instructions. At the top, oh, it's laminated, so it's shiny. There's numbers, letter activities, shapes, and colors listed up at the top, and that tells me what I can do this activity with. And the first activity, because I made these because I can't remember sometimes the things that I want to do in the moment. And so this has really helped me to go, oh yeah, let's play this game. I haven't played this game in a while. So this is Smack It, and it tells you down here basically what you need is fly swatter. And you can use it with any skill. And so I would take it with my cards here, and I would just, maybe at the start, I would only put 2 shapes out. And maybe these are shapes that I know my students are kind of iffy on, or maybe I'm finding out which shapes my students know just by doing this activity. So I may only lay out 3 different shapes. I may only lay out, oh, let's not do the octagon. I may lay out my oval, my triangle, and my square. And I lay them out on the carpet, and I call up a student, and they get to hold the fly swatter. Now, I know you all work with preschoolers, so you know how exciting fly swatters are for whatever reason, because you get to smack things with them, I guess. But you can call out a shape, and that student runs to the end of the carpet, and they get to smack it. And if they need a little bit of help smacking it, maybe they're not sure which shape it is, and they smack the wrong one, we always say, try again. Where's that triangle? And then they'll go and they'll try to find it again. And if they're still struggling, I'll maybe ask one of their friends if they would like help from them, or I can help them. But it's pretty easy for me to see which students know those shapes and which don't. And it also is just a fun, gets them up and moving, gross motor game that also has some learning fun in it, and it's quick. And I love it, and they love it, and that's the most important part. So you could use these with colors. I have some color cards, and I can show you those right here. Color cards, you can do those with that activity with those. You can do them with letter cards. You can do them with numeral cards. It's whatever you really want to work on. So it's very versatile. So that's the first game, super easy, called Smack It. The next game, it takes a little bit more from you, but not much. Right now, you know how everybody's got beach balls and everything out. Well, this one was $1, and I went ahead and wrote numerals all over it, if you can see that. I know that they're backwards to you, but they're not to me. So what we do is we stand in a circle, and I encourage students to throw the ball to another student. And when they catch it, they get to choose a number near their hand. So you don't have to be real picky. Sometimes they just like to choose a number. But like this one is near my thumb. So I'm going to say, oh, that's number 6. I got 6. And then you call the student's name and you throw it again and they catch it. I got 3. And we show it to the class. If they aren't sure of that number, I help them by whispering it in their ear, and we really talk about, that's a 3. See, around the tree, that's a 3. And so they get to tell the class, I got a 3. And so they keep throwing it. Another great gross motor game, super easy. You can have these for, any skill you want. You can put color little color splotches on them, whatever you'd like to do. And it's easy, fun, gross motor, and it encourages some learning as well. So that's another fun one that we do. And they, of course, love that because you get to throw this big beach ball. Who doesn't love to throw a big beach ball? Okay, let's move on to the mystery alphabet letter. And this is the card. And as you can see on this card, it just shows the letter because this, you could do this with numbers if you had magnetic numbers, but we're doing it with letters. So basically what you do is you get your magnetic letters out, and you secretly put a letter inside a bag. And this bag was from Target. Oh, I'm so sorry for all that noise. This bag was from the Target dollar spot. I think last year, maybe, I don't know. And it's just a little drawstring, but you can't see through it. And so I stick a letter in there, and I've actually stuck an O, but I don't let my students see. I really sneak it. And then I close it up. And then we say, this is our mystery letter. We need to guess which letter it is by feeling it. And then to help them, I put out 3, or you could even do 2 if you wanted, cards. One of these letters is in this bag. Let's see if we can figure out which letter is in this bag. So I lay these out and I pass this around. So this goes to each student and they feel, no peeking in. We're just feeling. So we feel the shape of this letter and oh, it feels very round. So we talk about all those different things. We pass it around and they make their guess. Which one of these letters do you think is inside? It feels very round. There's a hole in the middle. I wonder what letter that could be. Do you think it's R? Do you think it's H? Do you think it's O? And then we finally get to reveal that letter. And we get to pull open the bag. And then there's screams of, oh, I was right. I knew it. Or, oh, man, I wish I would have gotten the O. So this is a super fun activity because it creates mystery. And they love mystery. And we're really kind of focusing on these letters. We're feeling them. We're looking at, is it curvy? Is it straight? How can we differentiate between the letters? And, you know, if you want to get harder, if this is just, they've just surpassed you and decided, oh, this is just so easy, you really could use an O and a C and really try to get them to make those differences known through touching them, through the tactile. So that's a fun one too, because all different shapes, all different letters have different shapes. And so that's kind of how they learn them. Do they have these straight sides? Do they have any curves? And so this activity has been a really fun one and a really positive one that we've loved doing. So that is the mystery letter bag. And I'm going to share just about 3 more with you today. And there's obviously a lot more on here, but I'm going to share just a couple more because of time reasons. And the next one is greater than and less than. And so I have on my circle time board a number line. And I'm just happen to show you it here because my classroom is being used right now. So my number line is up on my circle time wall. And what we do for this activity, and it actually goes farther than 10. It goes up to 20, but I couldn't hold it all for you guys. So what we do is we use a large foam dice. And I forgot to bring that with me. I apologize, but we use a large foam dice and we roll it. And we have 2 characters that we use. And these are just stickers. Can you see those? Stickers on a clothespin. So we use 2 characters. They could be anybody you want. You could even put students' faces on here. You could get really creative. But right now we're doing the tiger versus the gorilla. So what we do is we say, oh, tiger's turn first. And we roll the die. And tiger got 5. So we count 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And we clip them on. Okay. And then we roll for gorilla. Oh, gorilla rolled. He got 3. So we're going to count 3. 1, 2, 3. Oh, let's look. Who had more? Which one was greater? Who had the most? Tiger won this time because he has 5, and that's bigger than 3. And we really talk about all those awesome number words, greater than, less than, um, the differences, even, maybe by the end of the year, your students would be ready to talk about Tiger had 2 more than Gorilla. And if Gorilla gets 2, he can move up to Tiger. And you really can kind of keep going with it. You can make it a race if you want to. Roll again. Tiger gets to move 2. He's up to 7, things like that. You can do so many things. And I love that it creates a race that's between 2 animals, not between 2 children, so that it is a cooperative game and they're kind of rooting for their animal, but it's not a lose-lose game, right? Nobody loses, just the animals. So that is the greater than, less than game. And I really like to use it to talk about those math words and math concepts for number sense. This next one's super, super, super easy. And it is one that I do at the beginning of the year because it is so super easy. And I'm going to show it to you with colors. And I'll show you this too. This is what these are from, the dollar bin, I think, from a long time ago. And they're just awesome. And I just put a, oh gosh, what am I thinking? I put a pin in the wall, and one of the big ones, and I just hang it from that. And then when I'm ready, I can just take it down and bring it to the carpet with us. And this one has letters in it, and I have one for shapes, numbers, and alphabet letters. So this one's really easy. They just reach in, close their eyes, reach in, reach in, reach in, pull out, and don't show it. Okay. And so this one, I'm just going to show you, is green. And so we work together, me and this student that is pulling the card, to play this game. It's called Surprise. And we think about things that are this color. So this is the color of, and then the student, oh, this is the color of grass. This is the color of a frog. And so the rest of the class is thinking, oh, what is that color? What is that color? And you can either have them shout it out if you want, or raise their hand and wait to be called on. But then they're, oh, green, green, green is the color of the grass. And so then we show the card and we say, yes, green, green, you got it, you got it. And then it's another person's turn, and they get to pull something up. You can also do this with shapes. If you got a circle, this is the shape of a, and whatever you want to add in there, of a ball, of an orange, whatever it might be. And it especially works good with 3D shapes too. So that's super easy. And and another way you could do shapes is, if you had a square, we talk about sides. It has 4 sides. It can't roll. And then we're talking, we're kind of talking about some major concepts in shapes. So super fun. You can even do it with letters. This starts the word turtle. This makes the sound T, and we all kind of guess what that is, but everybody gets a turn. So it makes it super fun. Okay, the last one we're going to do is called missing cards. And as you can see, it can be used with any skill that you want to as well. This one's a fun one because kids get to hide their eyes, and it's always a surprise, and it's super fun. So I am going to show you this one with the shape cards. And basically what you do is you can start with probably 3, and if your students get really good at it, add some more cards. But you're basically just going to pick 3 cards that maybe the ones that your students really need to work on. And then we will lay them out. And I'm going to tell my students, look at them closely. Look at them very closely. Remember what's on the rug. Because I'm going to take one out, and you are going to have to remember which one is missing. So I lay them out. And then I ask them, turn around, hide your eyes, don't look. And I pull a card behind my back. And so then that students have to tell me what was missing. What do you think was missing? Do you remember what was right there? And if they know, I bring it out. If they don't, I start giving them clues. Oh, you don't remember? It had 4 sides. But it's not a square, because here's square. What other shapes do we know that have 4 sides? And then we can pull it back out and talk about it, talk about the name. All those different things. So that is the last game, called Missing Card. Super easy too. And just just fun, right? It's just really about bringing in ways to make learning fun in a whole group and just keep changing it, keep changing it, keep changing it. So I'm going to go back to the screen share because I have something I want to share with you. So let me go ahead and bring this up. Okay. So let's move over. Sorry, guys, not the best at this. Getting the hang of it. Okay. Why you showed up today. You wanted to either revamp, improve, or adjust your circle time routine. You also see the value in circle time. You know that it can bring you some awesome stuff and some awesome learning and some great engagement and some awesome community building when it's planned out thoughtfully. And you also maybe wanted to get some more tools for your teacher toolbox in regards to circle time. And I hope that I've been able to help you do that a little bit here. So if you really are wanting to become intentional, you may need a circle time plan like I created for myself. Because without it, you may feel like, well, I'm covering the same skills every day, and now my students are super bored, and I'm bored, and it takes a lot, and I didn't think about it ahead of time. I didn't put it on my plan, so it didn't get done. And maybe you begin losing student attention and they look like little roly-polies, or they're touching their neighbor, or they're digging for gold. All these different things that they're doing that definitely was not in your plan. Or maybe you are struggling to set up a circle time environment that works for you and you kind of need to plan that out. Without a circle time plan, you may need to redirect student behaviors after it gets stale and after it gets routine. And once you're redirecting a lot of behaviors, maybe it's just not working the way that you were hoping it would. And without a plan, you may not have the tools you need within reach, and you need to stop and retrieve them, which is one of my really big pet peeves. Is I hate having to stop and go get something, and so I try to be intentional and make sure I have everything by me in a basket that I need for my circle time. So I know that many of you may want some more information. And if you do, that's awesome. And I'd love to help. I have a new workshop that really takes this webinar several steps forward. It'll help you create this plan for your year, and it will help you make circle time meaningful. And I realize that not everyone needs this type of workshop, and that's okay. But if you are looking for something like this and you do want to dig deeper and learn more about the core skills and the add-in skills and everything, then this could help you. And basically, I just want it to be able to help people because I knew the process that I went through, and I just wanted to be able to create that process for other people.